Ukraine for 2 years. I've been in the United States since 2001, since 20 years right now. I was born in Ukraine, I was raised in Ukraine. So I call myself half Ukrainian, half American, since half of my life is already in here in this land. We take it for granted, we waking up with the birds singing, we waking up to the peaceful sky, to the nice weather, we do enjoy it and we think it should be, in my heart I do believe it should be for everyone. I do believe that this should be for any country, for any family, for all the kids around the world. Unfortunately, this aggression ended up for thousands of people in Ukraine. And as hard as it could be, it's gonna be, it will end. I'm 100% sure it will stop and Ukraine is gonna get stronger with this. We've got to win, we don't have any other option. But all the support, I do wanna thank you for your support, for your coming here, for your stepping in and feeling that pain and expressing your thoughts, expressing your love and your support to all of us. Very, very grateful for that. And just want to end like I said, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Slava Ukraini!
All we have is like this 40 millions of people against like 130 millions of Russians with propaganda for 20 years now, right? So they believe they're right. Like we're a small country and we don't have gas, oil, whatever as Russia has. We don't have so much money. We don't have so much allies like Chinese, right? We don't have all of it. We have NATO, and NATO provides us with a help. Thank you for that, with weapons. But population is small. It's limited. We don't want to live in the world when things like this can happen. We don't want to do this. We all don't. And what we can do right now is donate and spread the word and explain others that that's not a local conflict. That's a world war that's happening right now, right between our eyes. And as much as we don't want to believe that, unfortunately, it is true. And the only way to stop it, for us abroad, not in Ukraine, is to show our support with money, with military, with whatever we can.
My name is Pola Moroz. I'm actually Canadian, but I'm working here. My parents escaped the Ukraine after the Second World War. I'm work at the Shriners Hospital here. A lot of people ask me, where's a safe place to give money for donations? I get asked that a lot because there's a lot of stuff out there that kind of scams and that. So, and I've had the pleasure of work and the health to work in many conflict countries. So, what I'd recommend people is the United Nations High Commission for Human Rights and Refugees is a great place to donate right now. Also MSF, or Doctors Without Borders, msf.org. They've been in Ukraine for many, many years already. They know the place. They may be out right now, but they are in the surrounding areas in Romania, Poland, and so they're working at setting up field hospitals in Poland. And also the Red Cross, the ICRC, International Committee of the Red Cross. And many Red Cross, like I donated to the Canadian Red Cross. Canadian government is matching everything I donate. I imagine the American Red Cross is doing the same thing. So it doubles any donation that you give. So those are three really good organizations. MSF.org. MSF stands for Médecins Sans Frontières, French for Doctors Without Borders. You can just Google it. Or any Red Cross, American Red Cross, just look for Ukraine and they will funnel it to the International Committee of the Red Cross. And we'll get it there, and they're all over there as well. And the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, because there's going to be 5 million refugees soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Я из Одессы, родился в
Doesn't speak
Одессе,
English. He's from Odessa.
да, прожил 20 лет в Киеве, приехал 16 числа сюда.
He lived in Kiev for 20 years, and he's here from 16th of February.
Да, да. Ну, я 5 лет подряд сюда езжу отдыхать с семьей.
He's here every year, like during the last 5 years, with the family.
Ну да, и так получилось, что мы здесь застряли.
And it happens like he can't get out from here.
И то, что показывают здесь по телевизору, все очень тяжело.
What they're showing here on TV is basically filtered a lot, so it's not all the information that you can that's really happening in Ukraine.
И многие города стерты с лица земли.
Many cities destroyed completely,
Where is he from?
Особенно
Одесса.
под Киевом,
especially
которые
near the Kiev,
со стороны
from the north,
Беларуси, да. Там гуманитарная катастрофа.
Humanitarian catastrophes north to Kiev.
Люди в подвалах, в убежищах приваленные.
People are in shelters and can't get out from them.
В некоторых городах, крупных в Харькове, уже ситуация на окраинах города со стороны Белгорода похоже уже с Алеппо, как в Сирии было.
In other huge cities in Ukraine, like Kharkiv, with 1 million city population, the situation there is the same as in Syria, in Aleppo, currently.
Очень большое количество людей пытается выехать из Украины.
Huge amount of people trying to get out from Ukraine these days.
Да, те гуманитарные коридоры, которые, как говорят, русская сволочь.
Humanitarian corridors that Russia fakely allowed
Да,
us to do.
что они предоставляют, люди выезжают, их расстреливают.
They just shoot on their way out. The people are shooting on those humanitarian corridors.
Да, многие, ну, все погибли. Все, что создавалось десятилетиями, все.
Everything that was done during years and years is now lost.
Я про себя могу сказать, я занимался,
I can speak for myself.
то есть я с супругой, у меня 3 детей, 3 девочки.
I have 3 children, 3 girls.
Они сейчас все здесь, слава богу, в безопасности.
Luckily, they are all here.
Да, 5,
Safe.
10 и 16 лет. Сейчас мы будем пытаться устроить
5, 10, 16 years.
свой быт здесь.
Yeah, and we are trying to make our living here now.
В Украине, в Киеве занимался производством косметики, продажи. Мы работали
In Kiev, I was doing cosmetics and selling and producing
да, продавали по всему Евросоюзу,
across all the European
да,
Union
и по всему бывшему Советскому Союзу. И
and other countries.
так получилось, что ну, в один момент мы потеряли все.
And now we lost everything.
Да, ну и такая в эту ситуацию попала вся страна.
And this is the same situation for the whole country now, for all people of the country.
Поэтому мы не понимаем, какое будущее.
We don't know what's the future.
И есть подозрение, что это продолжающийся конфликт будет затянувшийся конфликт.
And we expect that this conflict won't resolve in a month.
Да, я даже думаю на месяца, что это очень похоже с ситуацией в Афганистане.
Same situation as in
Ираке.
Afghanistan and Iraq.
Да, потому что те города, в которые пришли русские,
The cities where Russia come to,
они уже закрепляются там.
they already building fortifications there.
И выбить их оттуда
So
очень
that won't be
сложно.
easy to get them out of it.
Да,
And
и
these are all Ukraine countries.
самое тоже страшное, сейчас уже 3 из
And the most scary thing is
5 атомных
3
электростанций
or 5 nuclear power plants
захвачены русскими.
of Ukraine is captured by Russians.
И они используют электростанции ядерные как защита, чтобы их не выбили оттуда.
And then they use these nuclear power plants as a defense, so they can stay there forever and hold our ground.
Да, ну, будем надеяться, что
We'll hope for
поддержка, которая сегодня
support that we get in today
имеет Украина со всех цивилизованных
from all
стран,
the civilized countries
продолжаться
will
как
continue
в военном плане,
in
гуманитарном.
humanitarian, military.
Нам больше ждать. Да. Люди надеются только на помощь.
People are hoping only for the help.
Украинская армия с невероятными усилиями
Ukrainian army is insanely
отпор оккупанту русскому.
fighting against
И,
Russian occupation.
Все абсолютно русские знают, абсолютно все знают,
And all Russians know
русские военные, что должно было быть.
what is supposed to happen.
Да, то есть то, что рассказывают в новостях,
So what they're saying on the news,
те, которые попали в плен, что они не знали, они
that they were not aware what they were doing,
все это полная чушь.
it's not the case, it's not true.
Все знали уже давным-давно, даже некоторые украинские политики оппозиционные, которые выехали в Москву.
Politics, opposition politics of Ukraine who left Ukraine to Russia was knowing that as well, even in January,
Что будет происходить? Да.
that's gonna happen.
И самое печальное, что
The most painful
в
thing
России 90% русских
is that in
поддерживают
Russia,
эту войну.
90% of Russians are
Бесполезны
aware
все
and
эти
support
призывы.
the war.
Все эти призывы о том, что вы делаете, вы же разрушаете. Они все знают, все понимают.
And we are not hoping for Russian people to understand. They know everything. They just support the war.
Да, надеяться на то, что будет какое-то внутреннее противостояние в России,
We
которое
don't
остановит.
expect Russian revolution,
Да,
unfortunately.
на это не надо надеяться, это
We don't have hope for that.
не поможет.
We don't have hope.
Да, спасибо.
Thank you.
Hello everyone.
That's right, buddy.
My name is Antonina. I'm Ukrainian. I was born there, grew up there. I've been living in America for over 20 years. My children are born here American. And my heart is with Ukraine. Even though my body is not there, but my heart is with them. This morning I got off the phone with my cousin, and he called me from basement. It's freezing basement. The grandma used to keep vegetables, not the people in there. And they're hiding because they're killing them. They destroy it totally. They just fly over and kill whoever they can see. Houses, buildings, children, babushkas, babies. They don't have, they're just killing, just like a killing machine. And what he says in the Russian television, I came as a missionary of peace to bring peace to Ukraine. He's a totally liar, it's a lie. He's a liar, terrorist, and a killer of babies. And I want everyone to know that what he's doing, it's criminal. He's a war criminal, and he's to be judged by the war court. And I tell you, everyone, he's threatened to come to Hawaii. He said he will bring his bombs and his bomb jets over here. Please support Ukraine. If the person like that kills babies, he will kill our babies too here. Slava Ukraini!
I've lived here for many years, but always loved Ukraine and always supporting Ukraine very much. So
I don't know if you'll hear me. I've got a bit of a sore throat, but 31 years ago, exactly January 1991, we stood on that same little island in front of the Capitol with our signs that Gorby, get out of Lithuania, Russians no more, pause on Lithuania. Lithuania had just announced its independence, and the Russians came in with tanks, surrounded our television tower, and it really was a bloody, I think it was the 13th, January 13th. So we all organized here. There's a Lithuanian organization here in Hawaii, probably about 40, 50 of us here, and we get together for our Independence Day. And this year we celebrated our Independence Day, March 11th, 1990, and then the February 8th, 1918. The same time, Ukrainians also announced their independence in 1918, but 3 years later they lost. Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia managed to keep it for 20 years. And then 1940 rolled in, the Russians came, then the Germans came, then the Russians again. And then in 1940, we basically lost our independence for 50 years. But we never lost hope. And I'm wishing that the Ukrainians also have that same spirit. Just don't give up hope. Everything always turns out the way it should, if you really believe in it. We believed in Lithuania's independence. It came back to us. We're now part of NATO, so we're part of supposedly protected Europe. I'm not betting on it because I have a feeling we could be offered up as collateral damage, so we don't start the war. We'll give up the Baltic states. That can happen. But I'm hoping against all hope that NATO will stand behind us. But there's also that fear of the Third World War breaking out. So just don't lose hope. Keep your spirits up. Support from here. Lithuanian newspaper in Lithuania featured your Ukrainian get-together here and had an interview with with Victoria about what you're doing. So your word is getting, even from Hawaii, it's being transferred back to the European continent, to Lithuania. So keep up the spirit and don't give up.
I'm American. I'm Polish descent, so I have no specific ties to Ukraine. I came here.
Now you do.
I came here last week, and I met a bunch of Ukrainians. I have since tried to do as much as possible, kind of in the background, because I don't want to take away the voices of the Ukrainian people that are here. I try and hear you, I try and listen, and I'm trying to do whatever it is that I can without taking over what it is that you are going through. So I've donated what I can. Now that I know there's more local people that are accepting donations, I will do that as well. I used to be a professional photographer, so today I brought my camera, and I'm going to do all that I can to try and get those pictures out to wherever they can, so that we can spread the word as much as we can. But know that I'm here for you, even if I don't know you, and that's all I got.
Hello, my name is Andrew. I've been living here for 6 years. I'm Ukrainian, from Chicago. My grandparents came here. My grandfather fought in Bop, and it's very emotional for me to be here today. And I thank all of you for everything that you guys have done and for just your love and your support for Ukraine. All across the country, this is happening all the time. My mom, she was at one in Chicago yesterday. My sister in Arizona as well. So this is just amazing, and I'm glad that there's something here in Hawaii where I can be with fellow Ukrainians and people that just support freedom and democracy. And I thank you guys for having this, that I could be here with you all to share our passion and our love for the people of Ukraine. All I can say is Slava Ukraini.
I'm just going to be very brief. I've never been so inspired to come out, not to show up, but to come out and just thank the Ukrainian people for their strength, their passion, their compassion. It's an amazing country. I think the world is realizing that Ukraine is standing up for democracy for the whole world, not just themselves. We have them to thank them to support them any way we can. So, thank you.
I've been afraid of coming up because I don't know if my voice is going to hold through. I still have family in Ukraine. I grew up there. Some of them are fighting. Some of them are trying to get out. I can't believe the U.S. doesn't let refugees in yet. Even Canada did it. You guys need to put pressure on your politicians. Send them letters. Do whatever you can. Get some shit show there. People are dying. My mom couldn't come because she's too afraid of weeping the whole time. She's making flags, face masks, to just inform people so that people can be aware. It's a real war. You need to be afraid of this. This is not going to stop today. Some people don't realize really how afraid they should be. You should be panicking. I grew up an hour away from the nuclear plant. You guys heard about this in the news. It's Zaporizhzhia. I know where that is. And my aunt is there right now. Please put pressure on U.S. politicians to allow refugees. If Canada can do it, U.S. can do it. At least that. If you're not going to send military in there, I get it. You don't want to get your hands dirty. But help people who are at least trying to leave. At least that. Also, I heard somebody was just talking that they organized swims to fundraise. Hawaii is a very athletic state. Lots of people love sports. I think it's a great way to fundraise more, either through swimming or through races for running. People here love the outdoors. I love the outdoors. I just ran the 10K that was at this park. I didn't think I could carry the flag with me. I wouldn't make it to this on time. Let's organize fundraisers through things that locals can participate in, and keep telling politicians here and mainland to at least allow refugees in if they're not going to do more. I think that's the least they can do. I think that's all I have to say.
I want to speak on behalf of my wife. She's Ukrainian. Her dad had to leave Ukraine in 1946 because of all the things that were happening. And he had a choice to come to the U.S. or Australia. He chose Australia because it was so bad. They had him protecting a field that he could not feed Ukrainians. The Russians came in and they said, hey, you got to protect this field. But he gave food anyway. And long and short of it was, they knew they were going to kill him, so he had to leave. And a whole bunch of them left. You know, my kids are Ukrainian. And the long and short of it is that the U.S. has to put more, send more pressure on Biden and their, who's in charge. You put more pressure. You have the Air Force, military in Ukraine, just to support them. That's my stand. I don't know what they're thinking. My wife, we talk about this all the time, and having Ukrainians and the love I see with all you guys and all the different nationalities, it's awesome. Okay, born and raised here. It's Ohana. We are Ohana, and we want to keep it that way. One supports all.
I just want to say that because my dad, who passed away a few years ago from cancer, I believe cancer was because he could never get over the atrocities he saw in Ukraine, the genocide of his people. He told me history was wiped away when the Russians, when the USSR came to be. History was wiped away, but he knew the history. He studied in a Ukrainian school when there was still such a thing. He learned from his grandmother. Now, my dad was old. He was born in 1926. He saw everything. He saw the entrenched Russian interest in Ukraine and what they did and the genocide, he told me, was 9 million. We hear of genocides being 1 million. That was 9 million. And this is something so much about Ukrainian history that the world needs to realize. Sorry, sweetheart. Sorry, I have to talk. I know. Everybody just wants to go to the beach. I know. But he suffered his whole life because he never recovered. Anytime he spoke about Ukraine, he just cried and cried. And he said, what could I do? I had to leave. They were going to kill me. And they would have killed my family. He had been in hiding at one time. And underneath the ground with animals, so that the dogs, sniffer dogs, couldn't pick up his scent, him and his brother. And they were there for weeks, and his brother stabbed him in the back because he couldn't take it anymore, and he had to get out, but my father said, no, I'm saving your life. Eventually, they were able to get out. He tried to help Ukrainian people as best he could, but in the end, because they were going to kill him, he had to flee. But he was always trying to hope that Ukrainians would stand up. A couple of times, he was making plans to go back to Ukraine to help. Because even though the war ended for most of the world, it did not end for Ukraine. It has always been there. Insidiously, with people trying to take over Ukraine, take what they have, take their resources, take their money, take their spirit. And it has not stopped. But we have to stop it. It comes to this. It comes to this. You cannot destroy, cannot allow my children's country, of the country of their grandfather, to disappear. Because that's what Putin is trying to do. He's trying to make it disappear. And it existed before Russia existed. Ukraine was a prosperous, thriving country. It was the home of Cossacks. They loved dance and music. They had wonderful culture. They were thriving. There was a Silk Route. It was trading with the rest of Europe. Wonderful, joyful people. Dostoevsky. Amazing, amazing people. But what happens is when people, like they did in Ukraine, when these beautiful people sit back and they enjoyed their culture, but what happens slowly but surely People come to take what you have, and you have to stand up because this happens over there. It can happen anywhere. Nobody was ready for 9/11, were they? How could this happen, they said? Well, it happened because people are plotting and planning while you're sitting comfortably, enjoying life, as we all should enjoy life. But there are times when we have to stand up. There are times when we have to do everything we can. It's not something on TV. It's real. Real people, real blood. And that's all I have to say. And aloha to everybody.